Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial. So far we have covered numbers, strings, arrays and date in JavaScript. Okay, so now let's talk about operators in JavaScript. Please, before we jump into that, make sure you have already subscribed to my channel. Okay, thanks if you have already done that. Now let's process forward. Okay, so in this tutorial we are going to talk about operators in JavaScript. So now let us say JavaScript has the arithmetic operators that you are probably familiar with it. Okay, just mathematical operators. So we have something like you have the let me just put this like that. Okay, again, before we jump into that, remember that I have my text editor here. I have the browser sync up running. If you don't know what's browser sync, please go back and try to see how to install it, because it helped me to dynamically or automatically reload my page as I'm just save the changes. Okay, we have talked too much about that for now. Okay, so and then I have here my browser. Now operators, as just from saying, it's just some arithmetic operator that you are familiar with it. We have the plus, the minus, divide, and then times. You have also the modulus operator that you may not probably be familiar with it, but it's something very simple, as we're going to see in a minute. So these operators function as, let's just say, the addition, the subtraction, multiplication, division, and the modulus operators, and operate very similarly to other languages. Okay, multiplication and division operators will be calculated before addition and subtraction, and that is it. So operation in parentheses will be calculated first. Okay, they will be calculated first. So that is if you have something like let's just see, of course, let's declare two variables called x equals to, let's just assign the variable 5, and then y equals to, and let me just put 5, and then the x, let me just put 12 because I want to actually show you something. And then let's go ahead and try to try to print this into our document of the right. Okay, x plus y, again something very straightforward. Okay, so that's how it works. We have 17 normally, so it's very straightforward. So now minus is the same thing, plus the divide times is the same thing. Then the modulus operator, let's go ahead and try to see what it shows. You see here we have 2. So the modulus operator returns the remainder, okay, of the integer division of the x. You can even put spaces like this, you see the same thing. Okay, so the modulus operator returns the remainder of the integer division of x by y. So as you divide 12 by 5, the remainder will be 2. Okay, so that's what this modulus operator actually returns. So it takes this and then divide by this one, the integer division. So there's not actually something like comma, or let's say the dot. Okay, so it divides as integer division and then returns the remainder. Okay, so remember that some mathematical operators such as division by 0 cause the return variable to be one of the error value, for example infinity or not a number. So the return value of the modulus operator maintains the sign of the first operand. That means if this was minus 12, the remainder of course will be minus 2. Okay, so that's how the modulus actually works. Okay, and the plus and the minus operator also have unary version, where they operate only on one variable. Okay, when used this fashion, plus returns the number representation of the object, while returns its negative counterpart. Okay, that means if you have something like this, x equals to instead a string of minus 12, let's go ahead and see what it shows. You see here we still have minus 2, but it's very dangerous. Please don't do something like this, because this is actually a string and this is a number. You cannot actually calculating a string with a number, but it works. But you should be very careful while manipulating it. Okay, so it's very important. So, but again, of course, if you put something like a, you get an error because you cannot, or g, you cannot divide d or look for the remainder. Or you have here, we have n a n, which means not a number. Okay, so we cannot divide as you can see there, we cannot actually manage calculate a letter with a number, so it's not possible. So remember that the plus is also used as the string concatenation operator. So we can use the something like x equals to 5, okay, x equals to, let's just say for 15. You can here put y receive word y can receive, you can just say something like plus x. Okay, so if you do something like this, then that would be great. So you just return. So this process, like for the concatenation, so it actually adds this 15 to y, and then the result is, okay, you have this, so which is, of course, this y, it can be, is something like it takes it as 0, but normally we should do something like this. Okay, let me just do it properly, and then first initialize this to be 2. Okay, and then we can have something proper. Okay, so that is it. So y receive, you can just put sorry, okay, like this. So we have here 17, so we can actually add that. So that's how it is. So I hope you got the point. So y is 2 initially, and then we take y and then add x to it. So that's how it actually works. So we also have what we call the, so far we have used something that you probably don't, you need to understand what is that. So it's actually this, it's not equal, please. So we call it the assignment operator. Okay, the assignment, you're actually assigning this 15 to y. So the assignment operator, this one, equal, assigns a value to a variable. So primitive types such as a string and numbers are assigned directly. Please, it's very important. However, function and object names are just pointers to the respective function or object. In this case, the assignment operator only changes the reference to the object rather than the object itself. Okay, so we are saying that as you assign something like this, it's actually, it assigns it directly. Okay, but let's do something like, okay, let's declare our x here equals to something like 2. Okay, and then try to assign x to y. So we can do something like this. So for numbers and strings, it assigns it directly. Okay, so as you can see there, so if you go ahead and print, you see here we have 2, so that's okay. Even for strings, so if this x is actually a string, something like, okay, I can then, it's exactly the same thing. So we have here, okay, so string and numbers are assigned directly, but as we come to object or arrays, as we saw previously, it's not, the thing does not work actually as expected. So for example, say we have here, let's just call it array 1 equals to, let me just put some number there. Okay, something like 1, 2 and 3. Then let me create another array called array 2, of course. Okay, and then assign array 1 to it like this. So normally, let's go ahead and print this array 2. Okay, you see there we have 1, 2 and 3. That's great. But now let's do something here. Again, let me just print array 1 so that you see what's actually going on. Save the changes. Again, it's the same thing because we just assign it to this. But now let's change to do something like this. Array 2 of The second element that is at position 1, because remember indices starts from 0, is now 55. So now let's go ahead and print array 2 and see what it shows. You see there we have 1, 55 and 3. That's great. So now let's try also to print array 1. You see there we have 1, 55, 3, but that's strange. We only changed array 2, but how can array 1 also changes? That's what we are saying, that when you assign a number or a string, it assigns it directly, but as we come to object and functions or array, as you see there, it do it by reference. So it just reference that. So if you change something in one element, it will affect all the elements. Please, it's very important. So I hope you got the point from that. It's very important. So don't assign an array and then later on you change something to another array that you assign with it, and then the initial array changes also the behavior. Don't be surprised. Okay, so that's how it works. So before you do that, make sure you actually understand what's going on. So that's how it actually works. We have also what we call the let me just call it a equals to 2. Okay, the increment operator. Document dot write the increment operator. So the increment is something very useful also in programming. So I can just do something like this, a plus plus. Okay, let's go ahead and see what this a will be in our browser. Okay, we have here 3. So that's how it works. So this a plus plus actually means a receive a and then plus 1. Okay, so that's how it actually works. So we call this the post increment. Okay, I'm just going to show the difference between the post and the pre-increment. So we have also something like, so again I can just put it directly here so that you are going to see what I'm just going to explain. So let me just remove that. I hope you understand what I was doing there. So we have this one is actually what we call the post increment. Let's go ahead and see. You see here we have 2, but actually we incremented it, so normally it should be 3, but no, this one is the post increment. That means print a before incrementing it. That means now if I want to print a, if I print a here, now we are going to see now that a becomes 3. Okay, so we have here 2 and 3. So it's because there's no break line. If there's a break line, you normally should see the difference. Okay, so something like this, and then you see here we have 2 and 3. So that's how it actually works. So this one is the post increment, that is print and then increment. So that's why you cannot see the difference here. But now if I do something like, I instead put the plus plus in front, that's what we call the pre-increment. Okay, so it increments before printing. So if you go ahead and print, you see that we have 3 and of course 3, because we increment and then print is 3. So a becomes now 3. So it's normal that here is still 3. Okay, so I hope you got the difference. We also have the minus minus, of course, the pre decrement. That's what we call the pre decrement, and then the post decrement. Okay, so and for the, of course we don't have something like divide, please, you should be very careful, or something like times. Okay, it's not possible here. Okay, so you just for plus and minus. That's great if you have understood the concept. Okay, so now let's talk about the comparison operator a little bit. Okay, till now we have not yet talked about control structure and so on. That's the something, probably the next tutorial or something like that, we are going to talk a bit about the control structure. But now we have the what we call the comparison operator. Okay, we can say that, let me just declare a var b equals to 5. Okay, now I can just say if a equals, now this is the equals, remember that this one equal is actually for the assignment. So we're actually assigning that this 2 to A. So and the equal now is double equal. So to do something like check the equality, we use double equals. Okay, we can say that if A equals to B, then document dot write something like, you can just say okay. So if A is equals to B, then okay, don't worry too much about that is that if and else here. We're going to talk about that in the next week, some tutorial, upcoming tutorial. Okay, but it's something straightforward, as you can just see there. It's the familiar words, English words, so normally it should be also very comprehensible. Okay, if not, I can just say no. Okay, I can just say no. So if A equals to B, then do this. Let's go ahead and show what it says. It said no, because A is not actually equals to B. We have 2 and 5. Okay, and then we have the triple equals. Okay, let me just explain it to you, because it's very important. Some beginners in programming, in JavaScript programming, always confused with these 3 and 2 operators, equals. Okay, let me just change A to be now a, a string like this, and maybe this to be 2. Okay, remember that this A is actually a string and then B is a number. Let's go ahead and see what it shows in the browser. You see here we have okay, so this actually compare only the data. It does not compare the type of the data. So the type of the data here is string and the type here is a number. So it does not compare the type. It only compare compares the data. So we have 2 here as data and 2, so that's okay for the double equal. But the triple equals now compares the data and the type. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what it shows. You see here we have no, because the data, they are the same, that's great, but the type, they are not the same, so that's why it says no. So I hope you got the point from there. Please, it's very important. Okay, and again we have the different distinct operator. So this is actually means different. That means if A is different from B, then print okay. If not, then print no. Okay, so that's the different operator. If you go ahead and see, you see here we have no, because A is equals is the different, is not different from B, as we are actually checking the data only. But for the data and the type, you just put something like this. Okay, so if you want to check the difference based on the type and the data, but if you want to change to see the difference, or to look for the difference only with the data, you just put like this. That is, you don't care about the type. Okay, so that's very important. We have also the greater sign, which is something the less than. So it's also less than or equal. We can use something like this, or greater. So or greater or equal, or something like this. So it's very straightforward. So this one are just mathematical okay, operators that you are used to. So it's very straightforward, and of course you can chain many operators together. You can say if let's just say A is greater than B, and okay, let's now talk about the AND operator. Okay, the AND operator is something like this, and maybe B is less than 5. Yeah, so that's how you can change actually. That is, you need to take some mini conditions, but these 2 ampersands means and. Okay, that means this one and this one. So that's how it actually works. Okay, and the or is, let me just explain something with the and. So with the and, when this condition is false, it directly go to, it does not go, or let us say check the remaining conditions, because if this one is false, remember the and, for the and to be true, the 2 should be satisfied. Okay, so if one is false, there's no need to check the second one or the third and so on. So you just go to the else directly. And then you have also the or. Okay, but the or, as you know, that is, it check either this one or this one and so on. Or if one is true, then that's great, the answer will be okay. Okay, so that's the about the logical operator. So now We have also what we call the ternary operator. Okay, the ternary operator is just something like this. Let me just declare a variable here called var equals, let's just say c equals to receive. Okay, receive. First we need something like a condition. Let's just say a equals to b, like this. Let me just write, and then I'm going to explain. 7, then 9. So we are saying that this actually means what? First we declare a variable called c and then assign what to it. We first of all check if a is equal to b only for the data, not the type, then c receive 4. If not, c receive 9. Okay, so that's how we call it the ternary operator. So that's how it actually works. Okay, and that's all. So we have also the type of operator. So let me just do something, document the right type of C. For let me just say type of B, for example. Let's go ahead and print. You see what it shows in our browser. We see number. Okay, so the type of returns the type of the variable. So you see that B is 2. That's actually a number. So if you put A here and then let's save the changes and go to our browser, you see here we have a string. Okay, so that's how the type of operator actually works. Okay, again we have also the instance of, but we're going to see that when we are going to talk about object. And that will be all for operators in JavaScript. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share and comment. Okay, bye.